Close. Alrighty. And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good next day, tomorrow, day after, all of that stuff, because we are international and you could be viewing me from anywhere. So take that for what you will and just know that I am grateful to be here. I am your host, Robin Fafmi, and this is all about solar. Solar Logics EDU is our company, and we are located in DeSoto, Texas. We are a solar energy education company and sales organization. So, what does that really mean? It means that we are very interested in making sure that homeowners have the best possible experience that they can whenever they choose to transition their home energy use to solar. So, what we do is we educate homeowners on everything solar. We help you understand what it is, what it's not, if it's something good for you to consider for your home, how to determine whether or not switching to solar is something that you really need to do. Now, in most cases, you will find that the common script is you got a high electricity bill, you want to lower that bill. If you want to lower that bill, then solar is going to be the thing for you. But again, our main goal is to teach homeowners how to correctly interpret information about solar energy so that when you choose, and choose is the operative word, when you choose to transition your home energy use to solar, you won't be taken advantage of. And believe me, there are lots of people who are getting stuck with bad solar deals. So that's a real thing. And it's important for you as the homeowner consumer to know how to protect yourself. So we make homeowners smarter. We teach you how to be smarter when it comes to all of this. Um, and then once you are educated, and you are able to evaluate your needs and everything surrounding electricity in your home. And if you decide that you want to buy solar, you can buy it from me because we not only educate you, but we can sell it to you as well. And when you buy from Solar Logics EDU, Robin Fafmi, you can be sure that you're going to get a fair deal. And that's the whole thing. We want the deal to be fair. Whether you purchase from me or not, you will be educated in a way that you will know how to make sure that the deal that you get regarding solar is fair. It's a fair deal. Okay. So again, I'm Robin Fafmi, your host. I'm in DeSoto, Texas. I sell customized residential solar panel systems. That's what I do. I sell it and I educate. Excuse me. And I educate. And so we're going to spend the next 30, 40 minutes talking about some aspect of solar energy. Now, if you're listening and if you have questions, you can certainly type your comment or your question into the chat, and we will answer that question live on air. Just know that if you call, I will answer the phone and you will be live on air. And I'll appreciate that because that will be something a little bit different. I do get phone calls after the show, and I do get direct messages where people are asking questions off the air, and that's good. And I try to bring that information back with us. Today we are going to answer a couple of questions that I have been confronted with, and your questions help make me smarter. They help make me better because let me tell you something. I didn't give you the phone number. 214-497-7440 is the number to call if you want to call and be live on air right now. But let me tell you something about this whole thing. I have said it once, I have said it twice, and now I'm going to say it just one more time. I really believed that when I came out here to sell solar, I was going to come out here and I was going to provide great service. And, people were going to buy solar, homeowners were going to buy. That does happen. But more than anything, I have realized that this opportunity has opened up a whole new lane just for me. I'm sure others will soon follow, will soon follow. But right now it's a wide open lane. And I feel like it's been open just for me. And what happens is I actually attract people who have problems with solar. They have had bad deals, they've gotten into bad deals, and they don't know how to get out. What I do as an educator is make you smarter in that you understand all of the different nuances. What do I always say? Solar energy really should not be hard to understand, but there are lots and lots of moving parts, and you've got to know how to navigate all of the moving parts. It's just like you take a bag of screws, you've got a device or something that you need to put together, and you take the bag of screws and you just pour them all out and they go everywhere and you've not sorted them and you don't know what goes here or there or yonder. That's kind of what the position that homeowners are in right now when it comes to solar energy. Right now, what you know is that the government is giving a 30% tax credit. You may know that it doesn't take any money out of pocket to go solar, and those things are good and they are true. However, there are a lot of other things that go along with it, like, how much is the solar going to cost you? Yes, there is a 30% tax credit, but are you actually eligible and qualified to get that? If you do get the credit, is it a credit or is it money that you actually get in your hand? A lot of salespeople would lead you to believe that it's money you're going to get in your hand, but it actually is not. So these are the things that you have to understand when it comes to going solar. And that's what I want to do is be the person who helps you understand that. So let's start. Let's see, where do we start? Do we want to start at the top or do we want to just jump into the middle? But before I dive in, I think we're going to talk more about your electricity bill today because I have my bills right here with me. I keep them in a notebook so that I can use them to show and tell. And it's really important to be able to show and tell this because this will let you know if your solar is actually paying off for you. But before we get started, I got a phone call from someone who is very dear to me. And that person let me know that there is another person who is also very dear to me who listens to our podcast. And although, I've been out here now about 7 or 8 months, we're coming up to a year, and it's still growing and developing. And I'm still very much dependent on all of you to share whatever it is that you're learning, and to share with other people who might be interested in hearing what we're talking about as it relates to solar energy in your community and solar energy in your home. So, this person told me that there is a very, very, very dear person who's listening, and his name is Willie Eccles. And Willie Eccles, if you happen to be listening, I want you to know that I am so thankful and so grateful and so happy that you listen to me and that you enjoy listening to me. Um, I love you. I want you to know that as well. And just, take care of yourself and keep sending me those good vibes. I really, really appreciate you. Let's give a hand clap to Mr. Willie Eccles. Okay. And he happens to be in Waco, Texas. So this is letting me know that I am getting some reach out there. So thank you all for sharing. So again, we're going to start here. Uh, my name, I'm Robin. My company is Solar Logics EDU. So if you happen to hear that name out there, that's me as well. And what do I do? My job is to educate homeowners about solar energy. My job is to make the homeowner smarter. My job is to help you equalize the buying experience. So when you buy solar, for your home, you will do it in a very educated manner. You will understand the process and you will have fully participated in the process and the transaction. That's it right there in a nutshell. I sell customized residential solar panel systems. Every solar panel system is customized. Why do I say that? Because every home is different. Every home uses a different amount of energy. My house is here. I have a neighbor on either side. I have neighbors across the street, and they are everywhere. But no two systems are the same, meaning I may have 45 panels on my roof. You may have 24. The next person may have 54, and another person may only have 10. Why is that? That is because that's the number of panels needed to produce the amount of energy that you are currently using. So when you go solar, the objective is to be able to match your energy. So if I were to put fewer panels on your house that would give you less kilowatts, produce less kilowatts, then that's going to be not to your advantage. That's where your electricity bill comes in. So when they're talking about solar, when you get that phone call, how do you make a phone on the thing? I don't know. Uh, or is it something like this? This is so funny to me because looking into this camera, things are a bit backwards. And so my coordination trying to figure out what this hand is doing as you're looking at it, it's off. So just know that it's me and it's not you. But when you're being introduced to solar, the first thing they're going to do is ask for your electricity bill. Like I got a phone call today, and it was a solar company. A lady was selling solar, but she's a little different because she said to me that we have information that shows us that you are using um, an amount of electricity that costs you at least $150 a month. And so we want to help you save money on your electricity bill by helping you to go solar. And my thing was, well, how do you know how much my bill is and I haven't spoken to you? So I spent 3 or 4 minutes trying to get her to understand that before we go any further with this conversation, I want to know, how do you know how much my electricity bill? Is my electricity company selling a list with my name on it, you know, and you have gotten that. She never did answer me. She continued to insist that she was just trying to help me save money. But before you help me save money, I want to know how you know my business. Okay? How do you know? And eventually she hung up. I didn't even have to hang up on her. And that's the way it is with a lot of these scam calls. Now, I don't suggest that you talk to any of them, but if it is knowledge within your wheelhouse, within your brain that you can have a conversation with them, then I just do it sometimes to irritate them. But mostly I'm learning. That's a research tool. When people call me about solar, I do talk to them because it helps me to understand what they know and how they know it and what they expect from me as a customer, which makes me smarter and makes me better able to share information with you. So I had never heard that tactic before. No one has ever called and told me exactly what my electricity cost was. So that was a new one. Okay. But in this book, you may not be able to see it, but it's a notebook. Okay. It's a binder. Inside of this binder, let's see how I can do this. Inside of this binder are my electric bills, and I keep them every month. I just keep them in this book because this helps me to understand how I'm being charged. So the kilowatts, the price per kilowatt is what I have to be concerned about when I'm solar. Because as a person who has solar on my roof, that means that I am just like any other energy producing plant. I've got the solar on my roof and I'm producing energy. And I am a power plant. During the day, when the sun is out, I am a power producing or energy producing plant. Just like you go to any plant where they're producing anything, I am producing energy. So during the day, I produce the energy that I use in my home. In the evening, when the sun goes down, then I am no longer producing energy. And personally, I currently do not have a battery. So I don't have that extra energy stored anywhere to go back and grab it. All of my extra energy, all of the energy that I produced that I did not use during the daytime, it went back to the grid. And so now at night, when the sun goes down, I have to pull energy from the grid just like everybody else. And at the end of the month, how much energy I pull from the grid is what I have to pay for. Okay. And then that's kind of how that works. So now we're talking about solar energy. We're talking about renewable energy. You will hear it referred to as green energy. And maybe there are some other terms, but what does that really mean? What does renewable energy mean? Well, renewable refers to anything that is continuous, anything that keeps happening over and over and over again. So we know that the sun rises every day. Even if it's cloudy and we don't see the sun, it's still there. Okay. But we don't see it. But on those days when it's clear, the sun is shining bright, you can see it, you can feel it. That's renewable energy. It comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes. It renews itself every day. Every day it renews itself. So that's that term, renewable energy. It's green because it's clean. meaning that we are not disturbing the planet in order to get the sun to shine. So there's no disturbance in the planet. And that is where we're going to. We're moving fast towards um, clean, green, renewable energy. Okay, that's the first thing. So now I've got my panels on my roof. The sun is shining on those panels, and that direct sunlight creates what is known as DC, a direct current. And then the panels have inverters in them, and that direct current is changed or transformed into an alternating current. That is the AC. And that's what we use in our homes. So the direct current becomes an alternating current, and that means that anything that we plug in our homes, we can now use that energy that is being transformed through those solar panels that are on your roof. Okay, so you have a meter on the outside of your home, that electrical meter. When the electricity provider, whoever it is that is generating your bill, now that's the electric company, okay? The electric company, sometimes we say company, but actually they are a billing service, because I get my electricity bill from a company called Jexa. I used to get it from Rhythm. And then before that, I got it from Green Mountain. And before Green Mountain, I got it from TXU. Now, you all know that Texas is not a monopoly state. The monopolies were broken up a long time ago. It used to be we could just use TXU. Okay, TXU was the regulations were taken off. So electricity is not regulated in the state of Texas, which means that you can have many service providers. You can have many companies that will provide you with a bill. Okay, so they're not necessarily providing the energy. In the area that I live in, Encore delivers the energy. And then the meter belongs to Encore. That meter reads everything. Now, with something called net metering, when I am generating energy through my solar panels, it causes my meter to run backwards. When that meter runs backwards, it helps myself, Encore, the service provider, the grid, everybody understands how much energy was produced, how much energy I used, and how much energy that I had to pull back from the grid. So I sent energy to the grid, and then I pull energy from the grid. Now, the difference is going to be whenever your cutoffs are. Your billing cycle will usually run for 30 days. It could be from the 18th to the 18th. So, and that's how mine is. And so whatever energy that I use during 30 days, there's a portion of it that I don't pay for because my solar panels produce that energy. Any energy that I pulled from the grid is what I have to pay for. And when I have to pay for that energy, my meter on the outside will feed back. And that's how they know what to charge me for. So if I produce 1,500 kilowatts and I used 1,500 kilowatts, then I'm pretty much at a zero. I don't owe anything because I produced exactly what I used. But in those cases where I had to pull from the grid and I had no overproduction, I'm going to be charged for that. Now, let me pull a bill out. Let's find a good one. Okay, let's use this one. Now, when I look at my bill, okay, this is how mine comes. All of this right here lets me know how much energy I used on any given day. That's what these lines are about. Um, or how much I use per month. So these lines, September, October, November, this is almost a 12-month running period. And so it lets me know how much energy I use each month. You can see here, 0. What I had to pay that month was 0 because I used the energy that I produced and I produced enough extra energy to cover my bill. So you can see I've got a notebook full of 0, pay 0 amount. Now, I've had solar for 2.5, 3 years now. In 3 years, I've paid 5 bills. Okay, 5. So that's one part of it. Then when you go to the back side, it gives all the details. Now I'm going to tell you, if you all ever decide to go solar, you're going to have to really learn how to read your bill. You're going to have to understand what a kilowatt is per se, or if you don't know what it is, you've got to learn how many you're using or how much, because that tells you how much energy you're using. Your energy is broken down into kilowatts. Now on this particular bill, I used 988 kilowatts. Okay. And those kilowatts, if you have I know I feel like I'm rambling today, but if you have a 1-to-1 solar buyback program, that means that if you pay 10 cents per kilowatt, then for all the extra energy that you send to the grid, they're going to pay you back 10 cents per kilowatt. So that will balance out your energy usage. You use this much, they bought that much. And they buy it for the same amount that you pay for it. So that's called a 1-to-1 solar buyback program. So that part of it is going to be good for you. Now, the other part of this bill shows that I have a base charge. I have a delivery charge. The Encore, who is the delivery, they deliver the energy to me. They charge me for delivering that energy. Then I've got city sales tax. I've got public utility assessment charge. And then there are some miscellaneous charges. So my energy is covered, but those other charges are not. I've got to pay for those. Now, if by chance I don't have enough overproduction to pay for those extra items, that's when you're going to see a bill. Okay. A lot of times when these solar companies contact you, they're wanting you to believe that going solar will actually wipe out your complete bill. And sometimes it will, like for me, it's a true bill swap. Okay. But sometimes it won't wipe the bill out. Even if you've got sunshine, it may not wipe the bill out because if you didn't produce enough to pay for the taxes, the delivery charges, the public utility charges, and the miscellaneous fees, then you may see a bill for $20, $30. It just depends on who your service provider is, who's billing you, and what else may be going on. So I guess today, what I want you to really understand is that, yes, solar energy is good. Yes, solar energy can be beneficial for you. And yes, solar energy can make a huge difference in your electric bill, in the amount of money that you pay for electricity. It can. However, Please, please, please be aware that we're talking about two different things. One thing is energy, okay? That's what the panels are for, is to produce solar energy to offset your energy bill, okay? And the way that that happens is you use energy, you produce energy. You produce energy, you use energy. And so if you have a one-to-one solar buyback program, then all of the energy that you use, you're going to be paid back for at the same amount. So your energy aspect of it is taken care of. But what I'm saying to you is that your bill contains two different things. It contains the energy usage, the kilowatt usage, but it also contains the base rate, the sales tax, the public utility assessment, and miscellaneous, and anything else. So sometimes you may be in a situation where you did not produce enough energy to cover all of the energy that you used in conjunction with these other items. So in those cases, you will get a bill. So beware of companies that tell you that you will never get another electricity bill, because that may not be true. Okay. And this is the reason why. So I'm just going to show you a couple of more bills just so that you can realize that what I'm saying is true. These are three different bills. This is a bill, zero. I'm putting that over here. This is another bill. See, it says, can you see that? Zero. And this is yet another bill, and it's zero. So when I tell you that solar for me has been okay. However, it's interesting in that this last bill that I got for December, okay? The reason that I got a bill that time is because Encore increased their delivery charge. So when I first signed up with, who am I with? With JEXA. When I first signed up with JEXA, we did the calculations based on what Encore was charging at that particular time. And in December, when we looked at the calculations, Encore had increased their delivery charge by almost 3 cents. And 3 cents made a huge difference, whereas my delivery charge was $177. So this is what I mean when I say that solar really should not be difficult to understand. It should not be hard, but there's lots of moving parts. Now, when I got that bill, I was able to go in and do the calculations and follow the process and understand and realized, okay, it was cold in December. It was cold in January, cloudy for more than half the month, which meant that there was no direct sun getting through the clouds and hitting my panels, which means that I produced less. And if I produced less, that means that I pulled more from the grid, which means that I've got a bill. So as long as I understand why I got a bill and I understand why I had such a heavy increase, and it was mostly because Encore increased their fees, then I can say, okay, this has nothing to do with solar. It has nothing to do with my solar is not working, because let me tell you something. I actually got on the phone with the company that installed my solar and had them go through and check my system, because I'm like, why after 2.5, 3 years, am I starting to get a bill? Does that mean that something's wrong with the system? Does it mean that the inverters, some of the inverters may not be working? What does it really mean? And I did find out that my system at one point, which I was not aware of, at one point my system had not been reporting to the monitoring company that monitors. Mine is Enphase, but it had not been reporting because what I learned was that the internet connection was possibly a little faulty, a little weak. So that's something I really did not know until now. Is that I did know that my system is connected to a wireless internet. You know, that's how the information is being transferred. But I did not know that if there was a problem with the internet, that it would disrupt the data that was being collected from my solar system. Now, I found out that, okay, maybe it didn't collect the data, maybe it didn't transfer the data, but the meter is still reading everything correctly. So I didn't lose any credit for the energy that my system was producing. And from that standpoint, I, as an educator now, I am helping homeowners to understand, you don't want to just get solar because it's a fad. You don't want to just get solar because, okay, I'm going to have a cheaper electricity bill. You don't want to get it just because, some people just like for other people to see that they have things and they don't really care if it's working properly and doing what it's supposed to or not. But if you're really serious about it, then you're going to have to understand all of the different nuances. You've got to know how to go outside and look at your meter and be able to see if it's running backwards when it needs to be running backwards. Like during the day, when the sun is out, I'm producing energy, then that meter should be rolling backwards. But when I'm pulling energy from the grid, it's moving forward so it can tell me how much I'm using, and they know how to charge me. And sometimes if things seem a little off, now I know how to go out and check the monitoring system, to check their box to know if my system is online, if it is transmitting data properly. So that's something new that I've learned. But as an educator, I want you to be able to keep up with what's going on. You don't want to give away more money just because you've got solar and you think that you are saving money. You don't want that. You want to be sure about how your system is operating and, exactly what's going on at all times, because that is very, very, very important. I keep my bills in a binder so that I can keep up with it. In the beginning, it was exciting to get electricity bills and not have to pay anything. And so I would study the bill. I would study smartmetertexas.com. You can go there whenever you have solar. And even if, well, yeah, when you have solar, because on smartmetertexas.com, it shows you how much energy you're producing and how much energy you're consuming. So in the mornings, for instance, let's just say from midnight all the way up until 6:30 in the morning, right at about 7:45, while the sun is still not up yet, you can see a flat line which will show you that you're not producing anything. And it makes perfect sense. You're not producing anything because the sun is not up. Okay, the sun is not shining on your panels, creating that direct current that gets transformed into an alternating current, which is what we use in our home. Everything that's plugged in when we turn lights on, when we turn an oven on, or even when the air conditioning comes on. All of that, is being tallied on smartmetertexas.com. You can create an account and you can tell exactly what's going on in your house, what time of day you're having the most usage of electricity and not. And then you can even, question, well, is that right? Why am I using energy at 6 o'clock in the morning? Why am I consuming energy? That happened to me. And what was happening is that my daughter listens to her TV. She turns it on a station that has sounds of water, and that thing runs practically all night. She uses it to fall asleep, but of course, now she's asleep, and so she doesn't get up to turn it off. And so it was using a little bit of energy, not a whole lot, but enough for me to notice and wonder. We're all sleeping. Nothing's going on in the house. No lights on, nobody in and out of the refrigerator, nothing. So why, why is electricity being used at that time of day? It took me about a week and a half to figure it out, and I finally did. And of course, I let her keep it up, but she is now aware. Just like laundry, we do laundry in the daytime when the sun is out, because at that time of day we are actually producing the energy that we use. So those large appliances that would have a tendency to use more energy, we use them in the daytime. Um, we make sure that our refrigerator doors are shut very well, because sometimes you can close the door on the refrigerator, but it doesn't make that contact and it's really still open. And if that door is still open, then that means the motor is going to run for a longer period of time. And when that happens, what that's more electricity. Um, if I'm going to cook big meals or anything, I use my oven during the daytime. I do my laundry, wash and dry during the daytime. And my daughter, now there is no concession on that. She knows that, if we're going to do laundry, we're going to do it at these particular times. And that's just it. But that's what we mean when we say that there are lots of moving parts. Now, just before we get ready to go, I want to say this. You all be aware of what's going on with your senior parents, with our elderly loved ones, because solar energy companies are approaching our elders and they are getting them to sign contracts. When they sign these contracts, they become binding legal contracts, okay? It doesn't matter that you're blind. And I do have a situation where I know of an elderly homeowner who is blind, who was approached, and who, I don't know how he signed it, but they got his signature. Maybe the person that sold it to him actually signed it, because when you sign your signature on DocuSign, it's more of an adopted signature as opposed to what your signature would look like if you actually write it with your hands. But anyway, they actually got a contract where they have his signature, and now he's responsible for that. His family is responsible for that. And from what I understand, the installers were actually on the roof installing when a family member came and asked them to come down. But they're like, we got a contract, we're doing this. And when they have a contract, they get paid. The work does not have to be complete in all cases for installers to get paid for installing a system. And these are things you need to know. I have another situation. A senior woman 75 years old, sitting in her yard last summer, and a solar company approached her, told her that the government was giving away solar panels to senior citizens. She wouldn't have to pay anything for it. It would help to save money on her electricity bill. And do you want it? So she said yes. However, she did not sign a contract. She did not give them any information other than they had her address, and they did have a phone number, but the banking information was incorrect. It was the right bank, but it was the wrong account number. The email address was incorrect. So if the email address was incorrect, why is that important? Because the finance company should have called and did a welcome call with her. And they should have gone over prior to the welcome call. The finance company would have been on the phone with her, and they would have gone over all of the terms and the agreements, and explained to her her payments, whether or not she was going to get a tax credit. If she were to apply the tax credit, then her payment would remain low as it is starting out. Or if she wasn't going to apply the tax credit, then the payment would go up. And all of this would take place after month 18. So she didn't have any of that happen. So if the finance company talked to someone, they talked to someone other than her. If when they walked her through that process and it wasn't her, somebody else did that, and somebody else signed the DocuSign. Now this particular case, the finance company is talking with this particular senior parent. And in the beginning they thought that, okay, you just have not been paying your bill. But it turns out that she was able to tell them what the truth of the matter is, and they're still trying to sort it out. But be very, very, very um, aware of what's going on with your elders. Especially if they live alone, check on them, and check on them frequently, and ask questions. Okay, what you do today? Anybody knock on the door today? Who'd you talk to today? Because they may be giving out information not knowing that it could be harmful to them. And these situations are real. In conjunction with educating homeowners to make you smarter on the front end and equalize that buying experience, I also advocate for consumer protection when it comes to situations like this. Sometimes we're able to recreate the details of the situation and then follow a particular process and do a checklist. Did they file a permit? Did they get a permit prior to installing? Did they do an application for an interconnection with Encore or whoever the electricity delivery company is? There are several things that we get to check. Did they do? Finance companies most often will not require any notice that the work is done, but they should. They should. So whenever you have a contract, you might want to look at those kinds of things to see what they are requiring of you and make sure that you hit those points. So once we recreate the details and we find out that none of these items were checked off the list, then we are pretty sure, like in the case of the lady I was just talking about, we're pretty sure that it's fraud. And if it's fraud, how do we go about correcting this situation with the finance company so that I'm not charged, with that money, so that they don't apply negative reporting to my credit? Well, there are some things that we can do. The solar industry itself is not regulated, but the trades within the industry are regulated. Like The salesperson doesn't really have to have anything to start a company and start selling solar. But whoever installs that solar on your roof, they do have to have a master electrician associated with their company. And so we can check with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation and see if we can find a master electrician. If we can't, that's a red flag. But if we've got a problem and we can find that there is a master electrician, then we can file a complaint with that particular regulating company, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. We can file a report with them and they will follow up, because that master electrician that is on file with that company is responsible. So if they deem it a good case, they will get involved and then they will approach the installer and ask questions. And then if they installed the panels and they didn't have a permit, well, that's something else that they're supposed to do. So now we can add that to our complaint that we're filing with the Department of Licensing and Regulation. But now we can also file a complaint with the city and let the city know that that company did not have a permit when they installed the panels, but they did apply for it. So they don't know until you call them back out for an inspection whether or not everything is in place. And then there's another big one, the Consumer Federal Protection Bureau. And they're a big one. So we can recreate details, then we can file complaints in all of these places, and then we have a little bit of help, support in getting these companies to listen to us and do what we want them to do. And I have had cases where we have gotten the finance company to cancel a loan and remove panels from a home. And in most situations, you think that's absolutely impossible, but it's not impossible always. But you have to know how to do these things. So as an educator, I help make you smarter to equalize the buying experience. And then on the other end, I advocate for homeowners who may be stuck or believe that they're stuck in bad deals. So if you know of someone that's having problems with solar, it's been installed and it's a bad deal, give me a call, 214-497-7440. Every Thursday at 6:30 in the afternoon. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. You can hear audio only on iHeart Radio, and Stay Humble, Be Humble Network is audio as well. So those are the ways that you can hear us. But feel free to give me a call anytime. I certainly hope that you have heard something today that makes a difference in how you understand solar. So when they're knocking on your doors and ringing your phone, ask questions, and make sure that you understand before you sign any contract. Okay? Well, as I said when we started, I can spin on a dime and talk about solar because I love it. It's my passion. I'm very passionate about it. And I'm very excited and thankful for the opportunity that has been opened up to me. And when I say opened up to me, somebody else will figure it out at some point, but I just simply do what I do. And what I do now is I help homeowners make it make sense and help you to understand that, yes, it will work. Solar will work if you know how to work it. And that's what we're here for. So we're going to bid you a farewell for now. It's been my absolute pleasure. I'm happy and grateful that you join me every week, and make sure that you share my name, Robin Fahmy, Solar Logics EDU. She's that lady that sells solar panel systems, and she also educates homeowners about what solar is, what it's not, if it's good for me, can it work? Yes, yes, and yes. So until then, keep your ears open and take care of our seniors. Take care of your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your neighbors, anybody who maybe doesn't have somebody. Just make sure they're not opening the door for any and everybody, and they're not giving information over the phone that they should not be giving. That's very important because that's the scam. Solar companies are targeting seniors. So I'm going to leave you with that and trust that everyone will take good care of yourselves, and let's take care of our families. All righty. See you next time. Bye.